This is a very powerful exercise on mindfulness. Now, what's mindfulness? Mindfulness is being able to catch yourself, stop in a moment, literally vertical time, right now, this second, to be able to be immersed in an emotion, whether you're angry or sad or depressed or, excited or whatever it is, to be able to stop right now, in a sense, disassociate, step back from yourself, look at yourself objectively, and decide, how am I being? What am I doing? To stop and look at yourself from a higher spiritual consciousness, decide, do I really like what I'm doing or being? How can I change it? Change your behavior, and then continue in a more empowered direction. That's the act. The act of mindfulness is being able to stop. When we follow with those other steps, it actually wires you for compassion. Do you know, every time you do that, where you have a mindful moment, stop, where it can be even physically stop, observe yourself, make a new decision and choice. Your brain wires for compassion. You can raise your consciousness with this habit. How cool is that? Plus, what happens, hey, look, here's the bottom line in your humanity. Do your emotions rule your life, or do you rule your emotions? Because I guarantee you, if your emotions are ruling your life, what are you doing? Whoa, you're like a kite in a hurricane flying around, right? And we need to be, we can do anything, any choice, but when you're a stake on the ground, that's when you associate with your divinity. So here you go. Hey, sometimes it's fun being a kite in the wind. Man, you fly all kinds of adrenaline up there, but do we want to live like that? It's a bit chaotic. You might not fulfill your soul purpose like that. You might compromise your core values, and then you're in a bunch of pain, and that's not any fun, because eventually, you know what we do? We go through life, and then I'm 57 right now. I don't want to have pain anymore. I don't want to do that. I already did it a lot, and that's why there's this healed program. So if I can take what I did and I can help you move through it, your life's going to be better. So here we go. So living in mindfulness is a practice and an exercise. Once again, what are we doing? We're exercising. We have the experience to return and to remind us of our compassionate consciousness. It reminds us of our divinity. See, I'm advancing in spiritual knowledge right here. Return to remind. So mindfulness is a process. What is it? Say that word. It's a process of becoming aware of yourself. It's in the midst of your humanity, connecting with your divinity, and coming from that inside-out reference point. Man, when you can do that, how powerful is your life going to be? And it wires us for compassion. I like compassion. Compassion helps me want to contribute to others and will reveal your soul purpose. So we're going to develop the skill of mindfulness, and this could be our greatest teaching. Why? Because in life, we can really only do one thing, and that's master ourselves. We can't change anybody else. We may be able to influence them, but we certainly can't change them. We can inspire them, but here's the thing, gang. You know how we inspire people? By the way we live. I always say we teach our divinity, and sometimes we use words. What's that mean? By the way we live, we're an example to others. And, it's not about a perfect life. We are her humanity. We do things that aren't going to get us the best result. But when I can become mindful, I can change it and go from my humanity to my divinity and appreciate both sides. So how cool is that? That is power, because you are more powerful than you think. Thank you very much. Now here's the model I learned from Unleash Power Within from Tony Robbins. Thank you very much. Strategic intervention. Focus, language, meaning determines your state and physiology. So what are you focused on? Whatever that focus is, what's it mean? That's the emotion. And the emotion affects your physiology. So whatever you're focused on, the meaning you assign, the emotion you experience determines how you feel, and that determines your overall state. So guess what? We're always focused on something. Right now, I'm focused on you. I'm focused on doing this. What meaning do we assign? The meaning determines how you feel. Then your physiology determines that. Now, we can use our physiology to change our state. Hey, if I want to feel depressed, what do? I may slump. Okay? So what's the result of depression? This is a result. So if I ever want to feel depressed, what do? I go into this posture. So we're perpetuating recurring emotions, because that's the way our brain works. But guess what? We are not our brain. We are not our mind. Our mind is a tool. And we can use our physiology to retrain everything. So what we're going to do is an exercise in mindfulness that brings us to the moment so we can return to our divinity. How cool is that? So what I first want you to do, what's step one in all these steps? Have you noticed? Feel your body. Breathe in. Have you noticed step one's always the same? Why? Because we're using our physiology to change our mind. It's another Tony Robbins thing. 80% of success is physiology and psychology. Physiology rules. What rules? Physiology rules. Physiology rules. Physiology rules. What rules? Physiology. And our humanity, physiology rules. Ultimately, our spirit rules. But sometimes in our humanity, we get caught up in how we feel. You guys know you do. I do. And we do sometimes. So we're going to develop the habit of consciously moving our physiology into a higher state to raise our mental, emotional, spiritual consciousness. So yes, we're inside out, and we can use outside and exercise. So breathe in. What are you doing? Drawing energy from the earth. Man, energy, white light, explode it out. You can even move like this. Feel the edges. Bring it up. Man, I'm getting chills already. Bring it up. Feel it rising. Breathe. Breathe in. Wow. I am awake, man. My spiritual eyes are open. How about yours? So what we want to do, get your physiology, use your physiology tool. Now I want to identify that emotion. So what we're going to do, if you put yourself in a time, or you're in a moment now, then we can stop. See, sometimes here's what we do. I remember in a relationship, we'd be arguing, and then, I learned one thing after my wife died, and this is why I do this, and this is why this is in here. My biggest regret when she took her last breath and after she passed wasn't that she passed. That's the irony. It was that while we were together, we wasted so much time arguing about small stuff, and it wasn't me. I'm a big picture guy, right? So there was pain in her death, yet I found the disappointment that remained on how we spent that time was far more pain than the immediate pain of her death. The immediate pain of her death was pain. The disappointment of how we spent our time sometimes was suffering. And I had to let go of that. And what I determined was the reason there's this exercise in here, gang, is let's not waste our time. We have a finite time. And now in relationships, one of my core values is I will not spend finite minutes of my life arguing about small things. So what I would do in a relationship, if we got into a disagreement or didn't see things from the same perspective, and I know things got a little heated, I would step back. I would do this, exactly what I'm going to teach you to do. And I would say, how am I feeling right now? I'm angry. Why? Because I'm hurt. Why? Because all I want is love. So many people cry for love with acts of pain. They cry for love with acts of pain. Do you do that? Do you cry for love with jealousy? Do you cry for love and power with anger? Do you cry for love with sadness? Do you cry for love with a story of a violation? Because what you're doing is using pain as a vehicle to get love when we are love. And so let's change that perspective, and this is how you do it. So can you see the value of what you're learning here? This is life-changing that you can do in a moment. Okay? Now here's what we do. When you're in the act, breathe in. Anyway, the story was, I'd be in the middle of a disagreement, I breathe. How do I feel? I feel hurt. All I want's love. So what am I going to do? What did I learn? This isn't worth it. What am I going to do? I would just walk over and I'd give her a hug and a kiss and I'd tell her I love her. And you know what? I take responsibility for my actions. Doesn't mean I have to agree with yours. It doesn't mean what you're saying is right or wrong. But it means, am I acting at my best? That's all we can do is master ourselves. So if I'm not acting at my best, then how can I change that right now? When? Right now, not waste another second of my life to come back into my spirit and get back to love. That's the only most important desire in your life, is always remember love. See, I'm learning. I didn't say return to love, did I? I said remember love. Got it? See, we're on this journey together. How cool is that? Thank you very much. So what you do is you say, okay, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling anger? What emotion? Identify the feeling and emotion, and you'll know it because it's in your body. Okay? Then what's the next step? Okay, what am I feeling? What's the emotion? What meaning am I assigning? What's the emotion? What's my focus? What am I focused on? They're yelling at me. What's the meaning? There's not love. I don't know, whatever it is. What's the meaning? I feel hurt. Why? Because I was a child and my dad abandoned me. And, the whole story, whatever it is. My dad didn't abandon me. But, whatever that story is. What's the meaning? It's not being loved, right? So we already know it's an illusion. Why is that meaning there? Is it associated with something else? Why am I assigning that meaning? And it's not because of what they're doing. It's not because of what they're doing. It's a meaning you assigned. Right? It's a meaning we assign. We have responsibility, because when you have responsibility, then you have the ability to respond. So we take responsibility. What meaning did I assign? Now we take an objective approach. We step back. We look at it. It's probably something that's wired from our past. What meaning did I assign? How does my body feel? Well, my physiology is supporting that meaning. So we evaluate yourself. Then you say, wow, here's the meaning. Is that true? Because my body feels it, we think it's true. But is that a meaning that I assign? Then is it really truthful? Is it aligned with my divinity? And what's always that answer if it's a negative emotion? No, that's assigned with my humanity because of a meaning I assign. So here's the bottom line. Do I like how I feel? Is it serving me right now? Is it helping me be my highest self? Is it loving myself and giving love to others? Is that happening right now? And you could be justified because somebody could flip you off in traffic, right? Well, what did I do? I don't know. It's like, wow, I have compassion. Okay, well, that's not someone that's personal. It's hardest when it's the people you love the most. See, if you can do this with people you love the most, is when you begin to master yourself. Some stranger that can flip you off, you don't care, right? But oh my God, when it's your spouse, when it's your kid, something, it's so personal. So we can step back, disassociate. Here's my body here. It's almost like I can dissociate. Step back. Observe yourself. Look how I'm acting. Wow, 3D, man. Charlie, what's up with you, man? What's going on? Whoop, let's step back at myself. How do I feel? What meaning do I assign? Do I like how I feel? Not really. So what can I do? I can find the trigger. What's that trigger? What is it in my past? Now I can go through the other exercise, be that person, eliminate it. Or I can just say, I'm going to change the meaning. When you have a higher conscious, I'm going to change that meaning right now. I could find the trigger. Okay, I know why, but see, I've already cleared this, so it's coming back. Let me clear it again. Let me go through the exercise you just went through, right? You be that person at that time, clear it. If you don't want to take that time, just decide, that's not really accurate. I know what it's like to see through the eyes of God. I know what it's like to have my spiritual eyes open and awake and conscious. And I can give a new meaning to this right away. Immediately give a new meaning. Now, when you have a new meaning, then you can see that person from a higher consciousness. Now, God, why are we arguing? Because that's a cry for love. Because they're scared. Because they have fear. Because every emotion has a positive intent. They're trying to protect or provide or preserve something. They want certainty and safety. And even though it's not accurate, they feel their mind, they're being threatened somehow. But I can see them and accept them and say, I understand. It's okay. If they're craving safety, you give safety through love. And that's where you give it. And so what I do now is I say, okay, I can look at that with a different meaning. I can forgive myself. Right? I can say, okay, I can let that go. That's part of my humanity that got carried away. Now I see from my divinity, I can let it go. I can look at that other person and say, I can forgive them as well. Because what's forgiveness? Do you remember? Giving love. Forgiveness is an act of love. So I can forgive myself. What's that mean? I can exercise love for myself. I can exercise love for others. So that allows me to accept and give forgiveness, which is accepting and forgiveness love. Then I can return to joy. Now I can feel joy in my body, right? I can get to that place of joy. I can get to that place where my eyes are open. So now what do I want to do? Man, giving love is so easy. Now I can just give them a hug. Now I can just tell them I love them. Now I can say I'm sorry. Now I can say, you know what, I wasn't being my best. Because at the state of peace and inner joy, there's humility. So I can say, I can step back. Was I being my best? No, I wasn't. Do I want to create a higher standard? Do I want to know my divinity? Yes. So it's okay. I'm sorry doesn't mean you're wrong. Some people think if I apologize, then I'm admitting fault. It's not fault, that's a judgment. Saying I'm sorry doesn't mean that you're wrong. It means I want to change the experience and I want to give love. I'm sorry means I'm changing the experience. It doesn't mean you're wrong. Right? Are you with me on that one? Because that's a big one. If you guys aren't paying attention, that was life-changing right there. So you want me to say it again? I don't think I need to. I think you got it. Just get that. Are we moving along here? Because if we are, man, your consciousness is going up like a freaking escalator or an elevator right now. High speed, man, top floor. Okay, here's where we're going. So practicing mindfulness with repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skill. Jim Rohn, I think, said that, right? So we repeat mindfulness. We wire ourselves for compassion. We can stop ourselves in the moment. We can step out of our body if we need to. Whoa, what am I doing? Step into your body. How do I feel? What meaning? What am I focused on? What meaning? I'm using my physiology as a tool. Is that a meaning that's really serving me, or is it a trigger from the past? Is that my highest divinity expressing through my humanity? And what is usually always the answer? Probably not. No would be the answer you probably said out loud. Say it out loud. So then what do? Man, I can change it. Man, I can feel peace. I can reframe it. I can see that person from another perspective. And now I return to my divinity. Now, again, I'm wired for a higher consciousness. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. The more you change your consciousness, the less you lose your crap in humanity, okay? The less your emotions rule you, and the more I have emotions. But when they do, man, that's my humanity. Can I be pissed and upset and complain about that? Yeah. But as I'm doing it, I'm becoming mindful, like I'm fully expressing my humanity. F-bomb, 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 F-bomb. Well, that was a little bit strong. I was a little bit pissed off. Okay, now, glad I got that out of me. Let me return to my divinity. See, we can go back and forth. It's a hologram. Hey, learn to love your humanity, okay? We don't resist our humanity. We love our humanity, but we know we are our divinity. How cool is that? Man, I can express humanity on the physical plane like the best of them, right? But I also know that I am divinity, and I can express that as well. Mindfulness is probably one of the most powerful exercises you can do in this program. So let's get this one down, gang. And let's go from humanity to divinity, back and forth. Man, we have the power. We can master ourselves. All right.